If you have under eye bags, like fat protrusion under your eyes, if you have jowling, if you have some lower face heaviness, maybe a little bit of extra under the submental, under your chin, this is the video for you. Today I'm going to share with you my experience with Agnes RF. Now this is a non-surgical, I wouldn't go so far as to say non-invasive, but it is an in-clinic treatment that uses a single needle with radio frequency to target fat and melt it essentially and tighten the skin around where that target was. Now, the whole idea of this is clearly to selectively get rid of fat, not to globally get rid of fat. So think about like if you had some malar prominence, or like me where you can really see the hollowing under your eyes and then the differentiation of that malar area, maybe to soften that kind of separation a little bit instead of filling in the hollow. Reducing the prominence here kind of helps to balance that area. Also, a lot of what's going on with our jowls is that fat is descending. A lot of that is what's going on as we get older. So we can target that fat strategically and also tighten skin, we can get some really nice results. Now I'm going to share that with you today, but I'm also going to share with you a second modality that I had a volunteer go through the process. She's also in her preliminary results, but we are seeing some results, and that is actually a totally non-invasive in-office procedure called Evoke. Now Evoke also uses RF, and basically what it can do is it can target the fat in your lower face and in your submental simply by having kind of like a device attached to you for a certain amount of time for a certain number of weeks, and over time it kills those fat cells and tightens the skin, so it helps to reduce the kind of the volume of this part of your face and helps to improve the jawline, and then it also helps to improve the submental. Dr. Lonnie Dozer will be answering questions at the end of this video. I'll put some timestamps. I did kind of a rapid fire for both Agnes and Evoke, and that'll be at the end of the video if you want a little bit more detail. But let's get into my process. Let's start with Agnes. So first of all, the reason that I wanted to do Agnes is, like I said, I wanted just to soften this area compared to the hollow area. Now, I've spent a little bit of time in the last year and a half or so getting rid of filler in my face as well. I mean, it's been well over a year since the last time I tried to dissolve any filler. And I really was kind of just going in looking for filler that might be old, that maybe, you know, has moved around from years ago. So I did some of that, and then I knew I wanted to really work on this area, and I also knew that really tightening up the jaw area, reducing the fat in that area and tightening the skin was going to help to prolong this area for me into my 50s now, so that I could just preserve that kind of tightness down here. That's how I came upon Agnes. Now, it just so happens that someone that I know, because I'm in the industry, has the Agnes device. And so that's how I set up the initial consultation and the whole thing, and ultimately went to see Dr. Dozer and have this performed. Now, I want to take you through the process. So we talked about my concerns, the areas that I was hoping to get some results. We talked about how long it was going to take to see those results. We talked about the recovery time, all of it. And she carefully mapped out my face with me. You know, I would check the mirror, and we really had this collaboration as far as where do we strategically want to reduce a little bit of the fat and tighten the skin. So what we settled on was, of course, the malar area, also a little bit of the nasal labial fold area, a little bit of the jowling area, and just a little along the jawline. I didn't do any to my submental. I feel really good about that. I had a neck lift a few years ago. You guys know that. And I feel good about that. Didn't feel like I wanted or needed to do anything there. So that is what she did. Now, the worst part of the whole treatment was getting numb, because it is a block and then it's some lidocaine shots. And then once you're numb, as brutality as that one little needle going in over and over, as brutal as it might look, it actually, you can't feel it at all. Now, I happen to be a bleeder. It doesn't matter, I am a bleeder. So it looks a little bit worse than it actually was. I also am a sweller. You guys all know that. So when we look at me right after the treatment, I'm pretty swollen already. Now by day 2, I'm still a little bit swollen and I'm barely beginning to see the beginnings of some bruising. By day 3, you can definitely see the bruising and I'm still swollen. Day 5, the swelling is starting to come down, and at this point I feel comfortable putting some makeup on, and so I can kind of hide the situation, but the bruising is still very, very evident. Now, Dr. Dozer does offer laser treatments in the week after you get it done to reduce the bruising. But I didn't do that because I wanted to be able to show how long the bruising took. And essentially it took me probably about 8 days before the bruising was so pale yellow that you couldn't really see it anymore, especially if I wore like a tinted mineral sunscreen or something like that. Now, there were 0 results for many, many, many months. And I think that that's what's really, really important. My first treatment was at the end of October and my second treatment was in January. And I would say that I started to see the beginnings of results in April of this year. So a solid 6 months, November, December, January, February, March, April. A solid 6 months from my first treatment before I started to notice that there were some changes going on, especially in my lower face. Now, I did notice that this malar prominence got a little bit softer, but I still have a third treatment to go, which I'll probably do in the fall and, you know, kind of try to knock that out. Now, I have also lost a little bit of weight, so I know that that affects the way that my face looks as well. So it's important to take into consideration. But I also know that this weight isn't selectively going away, and I selectively had the treatment in the areas that my face is now a little bit more slim. Okay, so here we are 8 months later, and I definitely can tell that I just have less volume, like right about here and here, and she did kind of right in here. This malar area is improved, although it is still, you can still see I have a malar crease from the dissension of my fat pads and the separation, but it's a little bit less prominent, which makes my eye hollowing look a little less severe. And so all in all, it kind of helps to balance that out. Now, when we talk about Evoke, because I was going in for Agnes, I ended up asking Dr. Dozer, like, what else do you have here? Because she has tons of lasers in her office. And again, I'm going to link them down below because it's a gorgeous office. They're the nicest people and they are so incredibly skilled that if you are in Oregon, Southwest Washington, they're worth, you know, looking into. If you're interested in laser, if you're interested in microneedling, if you're interested in RF, you would be in very, very competent hands. So what Evoke is Evoke is this device. It's RF and it can sit on your lower face or submental or both. You can do one after the other. And essentially it's meant to also melt fat and tighten skin. Now it is a lot more gentle, but you do a lot more of them. So while I only did 2 treatments in 8 months, this one is 6 treatments over the course of basically 6 weeks. You do 1 treatment a week. So she had her 6 sessions and she actually had it, I think, over 7 weeks. She skipped 1 week for some reason. There was something going on. So over 7 weeks. And her full results aren't due until basically about August 1st of this year, but we can already tell that she's had some great changes in her submental in particular. Now she's 38 years old, so she's young, so her collagen is going to bounce back, but it's still going to take that time. And she is the perfect candidate for this type of treatment because of the response of the collagen and because of the way that her body will process out the fat and tighten the skin. Now, she says that she can totally tell that her submental has shrunk up a little bit. And she said that the treatment was absolutely painless. It was easy to do. She would sit and work while the various devices were on her face. So either it was here, and I think it was on for about 45 minutes, or it was on here. 2 in a row. She would do one after the other, and she would sit and work on her computer while the device was on her. and that was it. So no needles, no skin puncturing, no pain, no downtime. She had a little tiny bit of like a red indentation from it sitting on her skin for a couple hours that day, and that was the extent of being able to tell that she was doing anything. Now I want to roll some questions and answers with Dr. Dozer, and check out Dr. Dozer, check out SkinwiseRX down below. They have tons of other lasers. They have, obviously they do injectables, the whole nine. They are a great clinic in Portland, Oregon, and like I said, you'd be in really, really good hands with Dr. Dozer and any of the women that work there. They are all so skilled and so friendly, and I'm really appreciative that they allowed me to film all this content and to share this today. All right, I'm gonna roll that, and I will talk to you in my next skincare video. Take care.
Evoke is a really exciting device for us. It uses radio frequency energy, so it helps heat up your skin, and by doing that it helps stimulate collagen production, and it can help with laxity and tightening, or we can even set it at a deeper level and it helps with some fat reduction. It's really for people that have mild to moderate laxity in the jowls or right here under the chin, and we've been seeing some really nice results. The nice part about it is that it feels like a hot stone massage. We don't have to do anything like numbing you prior, and when you leave you have some redness at the area that resolves by the next morning, so we really think of it as having very little downtime. So this is a 6 treatment series. The energy is helping every single time for you to stimulate collagen production and helping with fat reduction, and so it is a 6 series weekly. It has very little downtime, and you start to see results even within that first couple of weeks. The nice thing about skin tightening is that you'll see results very quickly, and they will last usually 6 months to a year. It just depends. Some people start to see that laxity a little bit sooner, but in general, with good sunscreen and using really good skincare, I would say we'd like to see you back in about a year. If you have moderate to severe concerns, then that's something where we might want to be more aggressive. So think about that as a mild to moderate, a person who maybe they're just starting menopause or they're premenopausal 40s and they feel like they've always had this. Those are great people to work with. If you're past 55, 65 and you feel like you're severe, then it's something we would want to do something different. The other thing to remember about Evoke is that it is applying heat externally, and so if you've had certain things done, past surgeries, then you may not have the ability to respond to heat, and so those are people that we're very careful with post-surgical patients. So we always do it as a package of 6 because for your very first treatment, we want to make sure that you get that whole series in. Now, we've heard of other people that have gotten less treatments and not had great results, and we want your first time to have incredibly wonderful results. So we do it that way, but then we piece it out. If you come back, say you come back at 6 months to a year and you just want to do one as a refresh, we're happy to do that. The cost of it is $600 for a series of 6, so that makes it $400 a treatment. It's actually $3,600 if we do jowls and submentum, and then if you were to come back, then we would figure out how to make that work for you as a treatment of 1. She's a good candidate because she is going to grow collagen quickly and well. Her skin is actually really quite plushy. It's going to tighten very well, and she has mild to moderate as far as laxity submental, and then I would say mildish at the jowls. Her age makes her perfect for this. If she was a person that I look at and you're considering, I want to do a little something but I don't want to have surgery, it's perfect. If you are actually talking about this and wanting to have surgery, this is not the treatment for you.
Yes.
So we just talked about radio frequency microneedling as an energy where you can heat up a source, do it very reliably and evenly. So what happens is with Agnes, they take radio frequency energy, so the ability to heat, and they channel it through either 1 needle or 3 needles. By doing it that way, they insulate the shoulder. So my shoulders are all insulated, but the tip of the needle is not insulated. So we can insert that needle directly into the area that we want to influence. We can deliver energy just at the tip and cause change and fat reduction, and then the energy stops and we pull it out. And then all you have to do for healing is that external poke, which is the same size around as if you were to get filler or anything like that. But deep down, we've actually reduced fat right then. You heard the crackle. It's very rewarding. And then we're also stimulating collagen production and helping with laxity. Now in the malar area, I think the thing to remember about fat in the cheeks is that it's descending down, it's also shifting, and it's separating along these cutaneous almost hammocks that come directly out of the bone and come back up and around into the bone. And by doing that, you get these breaks that increase over time, and you don't have any of that plushy cushioning across that separation, that septae between fat pads. And this is a great area to just help people that they feel like they wake up and they feel like they're tired when they're not. People are asking them at work if they didn't sleep well or if they're sick, and you feel like I had 8 hours of sleep. I can't do anything more than what I'm currently doing. So it's perfect for that. It is not good for the person that struggles with allergies, however, because with allergies, when it is allergy season, your lymph tissue is automatically going to react and it's going to fill those areas. And so at that point, we're not trying to reduce fat. And so this is not a good modality because you're trying to reduce lymph tissue. What's amazing about Agnes is that when you do surgery, for example, the surgeons go in and they're trying to predict how is this going to look now and how is it going to look in 10 years, because we want this to last 20, 25 years. And so you can be pulled almost too tight occasionally because they feel like, well, it's tight now, but it's going to loosen up over time, which it will. The nice thing about Agnes is that we do a series of 3 and we're able to work with you every single time and see how much we're reducing and then go about it in this nice graduated manner. And then you probably will just get it done maybe 2 years to 5 years down the line, and we can do it again, but we can do it in a gradual manner. And so we don't have to overtake. So Agnes, I would give yourself anywhere at least 2 weeks downtime. I would double that if we're working in this neck area. You're going to have redness and swelling. It will be tender. You potentially have little collagen balls that we want you to just massage. Just 100% of the time expect bruising. Now you may not, but just expect it. We have you leave with these occlusive dressings after, and that really helps. The compression really helps decrease the amount of bruising. And then we provide bruise laser for that first week. And then in addition to doing Agnes at the time, if we're doing lower face, we bring you back at 4 weeks. We do an Evoke, either jowls or neck, and then in 4 weeks we do another Evoke. And then we call that our final treatment. With Agnes, we see it even as early as the first 2 weeks where we start to see tightening, and we're just getting you over the amount of swelling. And so even at 4 weeks, we can still see a little bit of swelling, but that gradually gets better. So it's really 4 months to really influence a fat cell. So that goes the same with Evoke as well. We're waiting to see what your final result will be. And so you see initial tightening always, and then we're just waiting for the process of the fat reduction. So what we do is we do blocks, essentially, lidocaine nerve blocks. We use a long-acting and a short-acting lidocaine, and during that process we like to have you use nitrous oxide or a little bit of laughing gas to help make that much more comfortable. And then once we get started, there may be a couple little hot spots where we can go ahead and just do a little direct lidocaine injection. But after we get started, in general, it is usually very little to low pain. So the thing to know about Agnes is that it's actually 4 treatments. So we do the initial treatment with Agnes. We always follow it up with a laser. It may be a laser for bruise, or it may be a little bit of skin resurfacing. It just depends on what your needs are. And then we do Evoke 4 weeks later and Evoke again 4 weeks later. So to do the lower face is $2,500. To do the full face is actually $3,000, and it covers those 4 things.